Hello. I am just here waiting to see if anyone is joining in. I see we have one person in the house. So I'm going to wait for a few others. Pertaining to a topic I heard this morning, and that is if you are required and don't have any other alternatives, are you prepared to go into the bush? How you doing, oath taker? Oh, you're not? Well, that is something to think about. You know, I heard something this morning pertaining to being a lone wolf. I don't think anyone would want to be a lone wolf, and hopefully that we will never um, have to be in that position. But I wanted to talk about if you did not have any alternative, do you really feel that you could survive in the bush? And the thing about that is that going to the bush takes preparation. How you doing, Filipina? In Italy, how are you? Glad, thank you for dropping in, taking some time out of your day. I really appreciate it. But first thing I'm thinking about is going into the bush. One of the most important things is your shelter. It's nice to meet you as well, Filipino. Yeah, that's good, oath taker, that you can do a few days. You know, the most I've ever done is 2 nights, let's say 2.5 days, and that was with two other guys. But the first thing I think is that is really important is your shelter, and your clothing will be your first line of shelter. So if you know you have to go into the bush, I think it would behoove, especially if it's during the cooler months or even during the summer months, to have some clothing, underclothing that will provide wicker, and then have some clothing, of course, your pants, your shirt, hoodie, or something like that, and have that to be loosely fitted so that it can capture the heat pockets or the heated area, and then have your coat as well, and then a poncho, something to prevent you from getting wet and blocking the wind. So, yeah, if you're forced into the bush, you want to think about your shelter. Now, let's say, what time do you get to the bush? If it's early during the day, you may have time to build a A-frame or a lean-to or debris shelter. But let's say you get there late in the evening. One of the things I've learned is get a pile of leaves, make a big pile of leaves, and get in there. Those leaves will provide some insulation, but that is a temporary shelter until you can build another shelter, such as an A-frame, which is a triangular shape shelter, and that's designed to help keep the heat close to you. I have clothing, but I need more shelter for the winter. That's a good point. Yeah, if you get a grab a tarp, a 5x7, that can be sufficient in an emergency, especially if it is mylar. If you make a lean-to shelter and put a fire in front of that, maybe 3 feet in front of that, that mylar will reflect the heat. So in an emergency, you grab your bag and even if you don't have a mylar tarp, a 5x7 tarp will be sufficient as long as you have a fire. So, and let's say if you don't have that, if you don't have a 5x7 tarp or any tarp, you can use nature. You can use a tree limb as the spine, get some smaller tree limbs, make that the ribs, throw leaves on top of or boughs from the tree, and then throw leaves on top of the boughs and have a lean-to shelter, a lean-to debris shelter. But that's going to take some work. But yeah, okay, you have the clothing, but you need the shelter for the winter. Okay, that's good. You do have one of those tarps. And those tarps, you can even just wrap up in them. You don't even have to make a shelter. Just by wrapping up in one of those mylar grabber blankets, it will retain your body heat. So in an emergency, your shelter is something to take into considerable consideration. Yeah, the shelter is really, really important. Now, let's say once you get there and you were forced to go into the bush, I think the next important thing to have is water. Are you going to a place where you know there is water, a running stream, a running river? Did you bring more than a 28-ounce or a 16-ounce container with you? Did you bring some type of filter, Sawyer Mini, Life Straw? Did your canteen have a nesting cup so that you can boil water? Those are things that are very, very important. How you doing, Candy? How you doing, Candy? Thank you for dropping in. I really appreciate it. I see we got 4 thumbs up. Thank you very much. But as I was saying, after the shelter, what I would consider is having the water. We can go 3 days without water, but after that, and during that 3 days, we're going to be very uncomfortable if we don't have that water. So again, your shelter and your water. Now, when we picked up that bag and had to run out of the door, do we have any type of food in our bag? Any granola bars, any noodles, anything that we can, just some peppermint candy, some cough drops. Cough drops will provide you with saliva. And that is one way of not becoming as thirsty. So, food is going to be very important. But if we had to leave out in a hurry and we only had what was in our bag, are we capable of foraging food? I can tell you now, I am not capable of foraging food. I have not done that. I have read about it, but I think that is something that takes time to learn. But if you can, keep some granola bars, some type of food, peanut trail mix, peppermint candy, carrots, something, just to put in your stomach to provide some type of calories. Black Guns and Garden, hey, thank you for dropping in. Yeah, I was just, just saying that I heard something this morning. I don't think we will come to that, but if we do, I want to be prepared to know that I can spend some time in the bush and be comfortable. Now, after your shelter, your water, your food, what about survival signals? Two of them to me is being audible and something that is visual. Audible, have a whistle. As a matter of fact, I carry a whistle around my neck and I also carry a whistle in my bag. I have this theory, and I've heard it many times before: 1 equals 0, 2 equals 1. So anything that I can carry 2 of that is not going to add a lot of weight, I'm going to do that. Now, when it comes to something that is visible, right off the hand, I think of a flashlight. Some flashlights have red lights, some have green lights, but you want to be able to make sure you have something that is visible. A signaling mirror is another good one. You can put tape on the back of your Torx 3Xs, lay that on the ground. You can also build a fire and put some greenery on that fire. That's another way of visual signaling. So, but the most common ones are a flashlight, which is visible, and a whistle. And if you don't have that, you have your voice to make some type of noise to let someone know where you are or that you need help. Now, going into the bush, I'm sure in your bag, at a minimum, you're going to have a knife. Now, you may not have a saw, you may not have a hatchet, but at least have a knife, and preferably a fixed blade knife that is 5 inches or more. Now, with that fixed blade knife, you will be able to process wood. You will be able to baton wood. You will be able to delimb a tree trunk. You will be able to carve with that. And preferably, you want to have a Scandinavian grind knife. Scandinavian grind knife is just a knife that comes to a 0-degree angle. It is very easy to sharpen. And that is what most bushcrafters use. So that's very important. Now, it is advisable, though, to carry in your bag some type of saw and a hatchet. If it's nothing but just a small camp axe hatchet, that hatchet is going to serve you well. It's going to take much more pounding than your knife. And you want to reserve that knife for as long as you can. If anything, you want to keep that knife on your hip as long as you can and use that hatchet and a saw. So, I was really thinking, going into the bush, I've heard a lot of people talk about it, but let's be honest with ourselves. Are we prepared to go in the bush? Are we prepared to go in the bush alone by ourselves? Are we prepared to do the work that is necessary to keep a fire going? It's a sustainable fire. Are we going to process that wood? Are we going to make sure that we have enough wood for that night? Are we going to know to pick the wood that is dead standing wood or wood that is on the floor of the forest or the bush? So those are things to take in consideration. there's a lot to take in consideration when doing that. And I'll tell you guys, I've been in the bush a few times, and I think people see the end results, the beautiful fire, the cooking. But let's be honest with ourselves again. What does it take to do that? It takes stamina. One thing that you can do is just go to the bush, put your rucksack on, 20, 25 pounds. Go in the morning and make sure you make your way back before it gets dark, and just ruck with that. You don't have to prepare a meal, but just ruck with that. Get used to stepping over limbs, being careful not to step in holes, having the proper shoe wear. I myself advise having shoe wear that comes close to your calf, because you don't want a twisted ankle. If you get a twisted ankle, that could be a serious problem, and then you really will need your survival skills. Wear gloves into the bush. Yeah, again, how you doing, Simple J? And let me just say hi to some people. Candy, Black Guns and Garden. I see we have 6 people in here, and I definitely appreciate you guys. Oath Taker, I appreciate you guys taking time out of your day just to hear something that I heard this morning. I think this is just another way to spread the message, is preparing to go into the bush. I think prepare for the worst, but always expect better, But again, another question is, how far are you going to have to travel to get to the bush? Now, where I live, I'm going to have to travel at least 20 miles. And let's just say, yeah, I have 3 vehicles, but I'm not able to use any of those vehicles. Well, guess what I do have? I have bicycles. And with those bicycles, I have extra tubes, extra tires. Now, I never thought that, I'm buying these bikes to help me get to a safe place. But those bikes were pleasurable bikes. I had fun with them. I still have fun with them. But I just realized they can be a tool of survival, getting to the bush, getting to where I need to go. So there are farmer son prepping. Thanks for dropping in. Those are I really took it to heart what I heard this morning. I hear so many people said, I'm running to the woods, I'm going to the bush. Are you really? Are you really prepared to do that? How much gear are you going to take with you? What is the minimum amount? What gear are you going to take? Compass, whistle, Leatherman. There are different type of knives, saws, communication, your telephone. Do you have solar pack battery chargers? Are you taking extra batteries? Does someone know where you are? Those are a lot of things to take in consideration. But you're going to have to depend on someone, I would think. Lone wolf, you're only going to last so long. And I'll be honest with you. I am, okay, 1,000 rounds of ammo, good. Now let me ask you, farmer son, is that 1,000 rounds of ammunition, is it 22? Is it 9mm? Is it 38, 357 Magnum? Is it for a rifle, 30-30, AK, AR? That's something I really thought about. Am I going to pull out, take a 22 with me because I can carry much more ammunition? Or am I going to take a 30 AK? Am I going to take, 30-06, a shotgun? Those are things. Am I going to just take a pistol? Okay, AR 9mm, 22 Winchester rounds. Yes. Okay, I think those are good choices. And again, everyone have different views on that, and everything is not going to fit everyone the same. So you have to take what is going to be beneficial to you. What is best? What have you practiced with? When I go into the bush, I'm always taking a different knife, different hatchet, because I want to be familiar with all of those. The saying is a jack of all trade and a master of none. I want to be familiar with all the equipment that I possibly can be familiar with. But getting back to being a lone wolf or not being a lone wolf, here again comes in the trust. How well do you know the individuals? When they come to you, got to use your stuff. That's true. You have to use it. You have to test it. That is imperative. I'll tell you something real quick, and you may have seen on my other videos. I bought this hatchet, and I said, I'm not going to practice with it. No, it was a knife. I'm not going to practice with it. I'm just going to go into the bush. That knife performed wonderfully. It was a Masio. It performed wonderfully. So I did the same thing with a hatchet. I said, I'm not going to practice with it. I'm just going to go out there. Went out there in the bush with that hatchet. Oh boy, was that an eye opener. It wasn't the hatchet. It was me, the user, who was not familiar with it, because what I learned, the grind on a hatchet, they perform differently. So when I got back, I went to a vacant lot and I practiced with that hatchet. Went out in the bush the next week. Hey, it was wonderful. So practicing with your gear is so important. But again, are you going to be with a mutual assistant group and someone comes to you? What are their skills? You really have to know their skills, what they have to offer, what can you offer them? But the thing is, my two go-to knives are a Mora Bushcraft Black. That's a very good knife. And a Buck 129. Okay. Farmer's Son Preference says the 119. Yeah, I do know that Mora Bushcraft Black. I've put it in my hand, and that thing feels so good that it performs well. And that's a Scandinavian grind. But what I have is a Condor Teresa, which is a Scandinavian grind, which is really good. And I also have a Cold Steel Survival Edge, which that's a good blade. It's not a full chain, so I'm just going to use it until it falls apart. But I did use it yesterday doing some carving because I am making a spear. Thank you, Farmer's Son. I'm glad. Thank you for watching that. And I used that that Cold Steel yesterday, and it worked well. And it's just learning the skills, learning how to do the carving. But what I used it for, I trimmed down it was an 8-inch stick that I am making a spear out of. And right now, I put boiled linseed oil on the spear. I'm letting it dry. I put another coat on this morning. I'm letting it dry because once I put that spear on there, that spear is not coming off. Now, I'm making this spear. It's going to have two purposes. Well, first of all, I really, really sharpened it well. I have this tool. I put a very good, it's a 20-degree angle profile on the spear. The spear itself is 7 inches. It's a cold steel. Now, once I put that spearhead on that, let's say I'm just going to call it a long stick right now. That is going to serve for two purposes. One is going to be used as a walking stick, and the other purpose is going to be to keep predators at bay if I ever encounter a predator. That I want to use. And again, it can also serve for maybe taking something out of a tree that I can't reach. But that is the purpose of that. Hey, Alpine Prepperness, how are you doing? How's that weather up there? I know it's cold. I know you guys are probably getting some snow. Haven't gotten any snow here, but I wanted to let you know I'm making this spear. And the thing is, I was trying to avoid buying a spear, but I ended up spending the same amount of money as if I would have bought a spear. But the objective is, hey, I'm glad you got the notification, Alpine. Yeah, I'm trying to get better at that. Yeah, and you're listening while driving. Yeah, so it won't be time. That's fine, but I'm still kind of new at this. But hey, it's just one step at a time, and it'll all come to you. But with this spear, again, I wanted to, instead of buying it, I wanted to practice my crafting. So once this second coat of linseed oil dries, I'm going to put that spear in there, put a wood screw in there, and that's going to be my spear that goes into the bush with me every time I go. Now, another reason why I made this spear is because in my area, I have been hearing some individuals have been faced with feral hogs. And I've heard that, they travel in packs. So I would want to be able to keep a feral hog at bay with that spear, as opposed to using other tools that would cause the attention of the game warden. And I don't want to do any explaining. You just never know what happened in those situations. But that's why I made the spear. And again, I just want to practice. There are other tools that I have made that I'm going to improve upon. One is called a Death Star. I've made 2 of them. I'm going to make another one. And there's another spear that I want to make that has 4 points going up and 4 points going outward. I made that one, but I'm going to redo it because it's only maybe 5 feet. And I wanted the spears to be at least 1 foot or more taller than me. So then, if I'm carrying the spear and it falls, the bladed portion will fall in front of me. So those are things that I'm thinking that if I have to go to the bush, those are some tools I want to take. But guys, I really want you to seriously think about it. Look yourself in the mirror and say, if I had to go to the bush, am I prepared? You'd have to be prepared mentally. And one thing about it, you can only be honest with that person in the mirror. You may be able to deceive other people. Yeah, I'm prepared to go into the bush. I can do this. I practice this. But when you look at that person in the mirror, and say, am I prepared if I had to go into the bush and survive for 1 day, 2 days, 3 days? Will I be able to do that? Now, I've gone into the bush and I've stayed there, like I said, 2 nights. But that was with 2 other guys. I've never stayed more than 1 night myself. And I think that has something to do with timing and so forth. But what I experienced when I'm in the bush by myself, that next morning, I was pretty well exhausted and I was ready to go. After I got into the bush at 7 in the morning, set up camp, and just harvest and harvest and harvest wood, and then process it, then prepare something to eat, clean my dishes so that I'm not drawing in any type of wildlife smell, particular bears, anything like that. And then I'm pretty exhausted because I'm building the fire. I'm maintaining that fire all night, every hour, every 45 minutes, I'm feeding that fire. So I'm pretty well exhausted the next day. But I saw something to call a Siberian fire. So that is a fire that will go. It is supposed to go all night long. I saw the guy who was on, I believe, the show Alone, and he prepared one, and it did work. I saw another guy. I think his name is uh, Up North Alaska, or his name is Lonnie. North Alaska or up north. He built the Siberian fire. Now you have to have some very, very long logs, and the diameter of the logs are at least 12 inches. So that's something that I'm going to have to do as well. But I really thought in a moment's notice, if I have to go to the bush, grab that bag, jump on that bicycle, ride the 20 miles, which, the 20 miles is really not difficult for me because I used to ride bikes, at least 400 to 500 miles a week. That was because I was actually racing bikes. And, after getting two knee surgeries from riding bikes and surgeries from being in bike crashes and so forth, it's like, you know what, I can't make a secure living off of racing bikes. And that just wasn't for me, but I enjoyed it when I did it. So at least I know I do have the bikes that if I had to ride 50 miles, I'm prepared to do it. Yeah. Hey, Stock Explorer, thanks for dropping in. Thanks for taking the time out of your day to come and share some time with me. Hey, Simply Jane, Homesteader, bike is a good, having a bike is a good idea, and I've been seeing a lot of these electric bikes, and I looked at the cost of those bikes. My goodness, they are expensive. But I always wondered, yeah, thanks for coming to the coffee chat. I try to get there as often as I can. But I look at these electric bikes. They're heavy, they're expensive. And what happens when the battery runs out? Where you're going to have to pedal. And that's a lot of weight to pedal, as opposed to riding a bike that's 20 pounds. I mean, my bikes are like 20 pounds. And hey, Jason in Virginia, how are you doing? Thanks for dropping in. But riding the bikes, I don't ride as often as I used to, but that's one of the tools in my preparedness, is having transportation other than a vehicle. But yeah, it really struck me, man, that what I heard this morning. I've heard it on many channels where guys are going, I'm going to the bush, I'm going to the mountains. And as the gentleman said this morning, I would think that twice, more than twice. If you have not been in the bush practicing, preferably on your own by yourself, I would not suggest doing that. When you go out there and find out what it really takes, then you would do it. But preferably if you can go along with someone, that's great. But I really suggest go out there by yourself several times. Every time you go out there, you are going to learn something. You're going to improve up on your skills, but you're also going to find out how much you really don't know. It's just like the knots. I need to learn more than just the bowline and the trucker's hitch knot. There are many, many, many knots, but I've been using those knots because they work for me. But there are a lot of knots, like what is the constriction knot? When you want to put two pieces of wood together, I'm not good at that. I've done it before, but I haven't practiced it. But a knot I would suggest everyone learn is a square knot. Some time ago, I made a hammock bed, and I just lashed everything up together, and it worked well. But what I found out, had I used the square knot, I would not have used so much paracord. So I've been practicing that and practicing that. And I can't wait to go back and make another hammock bed off the ground. I mean, 4 pieces of wood. The mattress was made out of rope and paracord, and it slept well. It really did. I put a flying top over it, but now I want to go back and do it and use the square knots. The square knot basically is composed of, they call it frapping and lashing. And so you guys might want to go on YouTube and pull up that square knot and see how it works. Of course, right now I'm inside and I don't have anything to do it with, but I have practiced it many times. Audrey, how you doing? Thanks for taking time out of your day to come and chat with me. You know, I'm just here again speaking about, can that person that you look at in the mirror, are you mentally prepared if you had to go in that bush and survive? Now, I think it's going to take a lot to really make me leave my residence and go to the bush. But I'm very comfortable knowing that if I have to, I can. I know, just like the gentleman said this morning, no, you're not going to take all your equipment with you. You're not going to take all your pew-pews and all of that. You know, so you want to have enough to go out there to survive and thrive. And again, I will say this. I have got to learn and improve upon foraging. Now, because I'm a vegetarian, but I really think if push comes to shove, I've harvested many squirrels, I've harvested deer, I've done fishing, and I take pride in giving all that away. But if push came to shove, and I know we can only go 3 weeks without food, and I'm sure after 1 week, it's going to be miserable. I would have to do what I have to do. So if that meant that, hey, if I haven't eaten meat since March 1981, if I had to survive, I would. So yeah, it's guys, if you get a chance, you know, get with some people, just go to a local park. You don't even have to go where you still can see your vehicle. So if you have to go back to your vehicle, it's there as a security net. But go there and practice. Just say, you know, I'm going to take this ferrocerium rod, take your mattress, take your lighter as backup. But just say, you know what? I'm going to take this ferrocerium rod and I'm going to get this fire started. I'm going to give myself ample time. At a minimum, if you want to make it easy, take you some cotton balls and Vaseline. Take you some, what is it called? Jute twine. That lights up very quickly. But the secret to starting that fire is having something that is fluffy. If it is fluffy, it is going to take a spark. And once you get that spark, you get that fire going, you're going to put on small pieces of wood, which is called your kindling, and you're going to build that fire up. That's going to add so much confidence that you're going to want to do more and more and more. At least that is what happened to me. I really feel I've mastered using ferrocerium rods. I use flint and steel very well. I want to make a bow drill. I know I can. I know I can do it. But you know what has kept me from doing it? Well, when I get out into this bush, how long is it going to take me to do it? I got to harvest the materials. Oh, it's going to take me too long. And then that's time I could have used to been harvesting wood. So what the way I'm going to overcome that is by actually going into the bush and saying, this time it is strictly concentrated on making a bow drill fire, using a bow drill to make it fire. Now, whether that's going to take me all day, that is going to be a trip just for that. And after I do that, I want to learn how to do a plow fire. That is just taking a stick, sharpening it, take another piece of wood, putting an indention in there, and just using that to make friction. That's another way to make a fire. So, guys, I look at fire. When it comes to bushcrafting, fire is the hub of bushcrafting. Because if you think about it, hey, Moonlight Adventure, thanks for dropping in. I appreciate it. Fire is the hub of bushcrafting because it is. Fire is life. Fire is, to me, it's so relaxing. It's serenity. I feel safe when I'm near that fire. It allows me to cook. It allows me to purify my water. It just sounds good. The crackling and the popping. And I've even taken, I don't know what it's called. I bought them from Walmart. Some little things you throw into the fire, and the fire turns blue, red, orange, yellow. Man, that was so relaxing. I did that. It was like maybe 3 in the morning. That was really fun. And I'm looking forward to doing that again. But guys, the fire is the hub of camping and bushcrafting. And I see a lot of people I've seen, and this is fine too. A lot of people go out in their camp and they build that fire and they build it kind of far away from them. And then they go into their tent and they have all the gear to keep them warm. That's fine. The hand warmers, the bivy bags and all of that. But for me, I'm the guy that I don't want to take anything that's inflatable. I just have the thing that anything that's inflatable, sooner or later is going to puncture. If you look at my bedroll, there are a lot of punctures. So I have 2 bedrolls. But if you look at the bedroll, there's always something that's going to stick through it. So I would say this, what I use in place of that, I take 3 trash bags with me. I fill them up with leaves. And believe me, guys, that's something I don't enjoy. I halfway do it, but I fill them up with leaves. I put my bedroll on top of the leaves. And then I have a military bivy sack that's made out of mylar. And being 3 feet away from a fire, if the temperature is 0 degrees, I'm not going to know it. And I don't sleep in tents. The reason I don't sleep in tents because I just think as a bushcrafter, I just want to make it as difficult as possible. And the thing is, with a tent, I don't want to be fully enclosed. I want to be able to see around me. I want to see what's in front of me on both sides. And that's when I have a lean-to. You can make a nice mattress using what the forest provides. Moonlight, you said it all. The nature provides everything you need. And that's why I think it's important to go to the bush, practice and hone your skills. But I've slept in a tent not long ago when I was at a family gathering, a family meetup. And I just did it because I know most of the other people were going to be doing it as well. But I ended up being the only one. Most of the people slept in the garage and then they went back inside and slept inside. But, with that lean-to, I can see in front of me. I can see on the left. I can see on the right. I can stand up, see behind me, which is good. Maybe or may not be a survival school graduate. But you know what? It's still good. It's still good, Moonlight. I think, nature provides it all. And another thing I do, guys, every time I get up to feed that fire, I get up, I look and see what's behind me. I shine my light through the woods and so forth. And I have bells that I would just ring. In the event there is any wildlife near, those bells will make the wildlife, or I assume it will guide them in the other direction. And sometimes I would just talk to myself. Maybe the predators will think, hey, there's more than one person there. But those are things that are exhausting. Staying up, feeding the fire, ringing that bell, uh, talking loudly. Those are things. Again, ask people: are you mentally prepared to go into the bush if you have to? If you're not, I would highly suggest just go and do it for fun. I've heard a lot of people say, I don't like bugs. Okay, right? You know what? I don't either. That's one reason why I don't like sleeping on the ground in the summertime. But, I put some type of mosquito repellent on me. I try to make sure that I'm covered up, all my extremities are covered. I wear the gloves. I have the boots that go up to my calf. I have the socks that go up. I tuck my pants into my boots. I have a wick shirt that I tuck into my pants. I always wear long sleeves. So that, and I spray myself down with mosquito repellent. I wear mosquito repellent bracelets. So those are the things that I do to try and repel. Thank you. I'm glad you love my channel, Moonlight. Mac Beam Scottish Fitness. Hey, thanks for dropping in. I really appreciate you taking your time. Hey guys, quick note, man. You got to go check out Mac Beam Scottish Fitness. Again, like I said, I used to ride bikes competitively and I used to swim competitively. And I worked out all the time. I mean, I would get up before work, work out, go to work. As soon as I came home, work out, work out, work out. I think I was in superior fit. After I stopped doing those activities, my weight set became more or less like a clothes hanger. But when I started watching Mac Beam Scottish Fitness, that motivated me to, hey, get those clothes off of that weight set. So what? Start your bench pressing off of 50 pounds again. Do something light, repetition. And yeah, I may not get back to the level that I once was when lifting weights, but he's really inspired me to get back on those weights, get back to that 3-mile walk. Walking is so good for you. Get back into the pool, which I haven't gotten back into. Get back on the bike more often, more than just once a week, But yeah, if you guys get a chance, go over to his channel. He just competed in a weightlifting contest. Man, you can and you know what? Lifting weights will make you again, look at your nutrition, what you're putting into your body. I purposely avoid sodas. I don't drink sodas. I drink a lot of tea, ginger. Something else that's very good is just get a grapefruit, 2 oranges, and lemon. Just juice them. Yeah, it's a little time consuming, but that's really good. But that's all part of prepping. Staying fit, staying fit as best you can. Take my multivitamins every day. There's a lot of vitamins that I take, but yeah, guys, it's I think it's really, really important. My main thing that I want to convey is go in the bush. I mean, worst case scenario, that's probably the last place you will have to go. But again, prepare for the worst and hope for the best. Take a look at your shelter. Again, your clothing is your first line of your shelter. Debris shelter that you can just get a bunch of leaves if you have to. Get in there. That's going to provide some type of insulation. Learn about the A-frame tent, tarp. Very quick and easy to make. Triangular shape, built to keep your heat in. Look at the lean-to. You can put that up really quickly. Debris shelter. It's going to take some time, but that's good as well. Think about your water. Are you going to take enough water with you? Are you going to be able to source your water? Are you going to be able to purify, filter, and purify your water? Think about your nutrition, your food. Are you going to take enough food with you? Are you going to be able to forage your food? Are you going to be able to share food with people that you meet in the bush? Those are the things you look at. Survival signaling. Do you have that whistle? Do you have that fixed blade knife? A folder knife? Do you have candles? Do you have a flashlight? Those are things to think about. Do you have a telephone? Can you charge that telephone? You know, do you have sufficient other tools that you may need? All of this is something that I always look at when I go into the bush. Hey, my mother Sparks, thanks for dropping in. I appreciate it. Yeah, I'm just talking about something that I heard today that, I go into the bush because it's fun. It's challenging. It's the experience. Have I honestly thought about saying, you know what if I really have to go in the bush, not because I want to? That did put a spin on me. It really did. So, every time I go into the bush, I'm saying, I have a specified purpose. But I'm going to continue with that specified purpose. I just want to be prepared. I want to be able to help anyone that I want to run across. And again, being a prepper is to help myself and being able to help someone else. So, yeah, I think that's if you get that opportunity, go into the bush, watch other channels. I watch Survival Living, Survival Ranger Survival, a whole host of them that I watch. Really Big Monkey. I learn so much from them. I read a lot of books. I do a lot of practicing. And again, I'm just preparing for the worst, but I'm always hoping for the best. Stay as fit as I can. Communicate with like-minded people. There's just a lot. I was referred to another channel. Arkansas Wild Man, it's always good to see you. Hey, Arkansas, another good channel, man. If you see Arkansas, what amazes me is that how he can sit there, and guys, notice how he can sit in that Indian position. Boy, that says, you have to be somewhat limber to do that. I can sit in that position, but I know that I'm sitting in that position. He makes it look just so comfortably, I'm sure he's comfortable doing it, but yeah, that's another good channel. You guys get a chance, check out Arkansas Wild Man. Great channel. But God, sometimes I start rambling. I forget where I was, but because there's so much to talk about when it comes to bushcrafting, prepping, and survival skills, it just encompasses so much. So much you can learn from all these different channels. Oh, but what I was speaking of, there's a channel, Woman Outdoors. If you get a chance, check her out. I was watching her channel the other day, and she was in a tent, and she heard these. I think it was coyotes or something like that. But being able to distinguish the sounds of different wildlife, that's something to learn. Being in the bush, when I first start going in at night, I would hear something drop. It's like, what was that? Well, you know what? That's the sound of an acorn dropping. Or I would hear coyotes off a distance. Well, I know they're off a distance. They're not coming near my fire. Or I hear a buck calling for a doe. The only thing I'm saying, buck, why aren't you near me during the daytime, during deer season, But you get to hear these different sounds, And then when you're going into the bush, you start learning the footprint, the buck print, I've been in places where I've actually recognized the bear print, which direction the bears were traveling, I was able to recognize people that were walking their dogs. You know, I could see the person's footprint, the dog print, be able to tell which direction they're going in. So those are things that you just learn when you're going into the bush. And man, it's just so much more that I have to learn, that I want to learn. You know, there's a lifetime of education to get, but you know, the thing I keep saying is that, hey guys, it's how do you say this? It's really true. It's really true. You gotta, it's highly suggested. Learn the bush. Again, look at that person in the mirror. Ask that person, am I mentally prepared if I had to go into the bush? Can I do it? If it was my last alternative. It's something to think about. So you know, guys, I don't want to hold you guys too long. I wanted to come online and just put that thought in your head and spread the word. You know, let other content YouTubers think about that. That, you know, being prepared. Go to the bush, have fun, reconnect with nature, and just enjoy it. And you will see. I can assure you that the more you do it, the more you're going to want to do it. And when you want to do something, you do well with it. You really do. So, guys, I'm going to let you guys go now. Thank you for dropping in. I really appreciate it. Again, I'm always going to ask you to, you know, leave me some comments. Anything that I can learn from you guys, let me know. If there's anything in particular that you want to see, let me know. You know, share this, and just check out, you know, my channel, The Virginia Bushcrafter. Um, I'm always willing to help. So, guys, I really appreciate you taking time out of your day just to come and chat with me. So, thumbs up to all of you guys. I will see you on my next video. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.